So as you can see, we are going to cover chapter 5. And by the way, we have only less than 2 weeks. So we have the next week, and then I think the last day, the last time I checked, I think it's June the 8th, which is a Wednesday. So therefore, I'm going to be meeting twice after this meeting. We're going to have 2 meetings because we have 2 chapters to cover, chapter 6 and 7. So we are going to do this. We are going to have 1 meeting on Tuesday, and then the other one will stay Thursday also. And then we're going to add in case, we may add 1 more for final review in case you have questions, you have concerns. Okay. So I will email you about this. So we're going to meet on Tuesday and then Thursday, and then maybe another time I will let you know for final review. Okay, we're going to go over the most important thing. If you have questions, maybe go over the final exam review and stuff like that. Okay, so please keep in mind, because we don't have too much time left. It's not 2 weeks, it's only 1 week and a half left besides this one. Okay, so today we are going to go over chapter 5. It's about the loops, basically how to make the program repeat either statement or a block of code a certain number of times. Sometimes we know how many times it's going to be executed: 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times, 20 times. Sometimes we don't know because it depends on a condition. As long as the condition is true, the program is going to keep executing. We're going to have an example in a minute. I'm just explaining what the loop is. Okay, so for example, you're going to keep taking SAT exam, for example, or any type of exam, as long as you did not get the score that you like. Okay, or until you pass. Let's say, for example, a driving exam or driving test. So you're going to keep taking it until you pass it. If you don't pass it, you're just going to keep trying. How long it's going to take you? Nobody knows. You may get it the first time. You may get it after 2 times. Some people take them like a while, 5 times, 6 times, whatever it takes. So we don't know why, because there is a condition. Okay. So I'm going to, there are videos, by the way. I'm just going to kind of go over the most important things. So we're going to go over some examples about for loop. We have 2 types of loops. Actually, there are 3, but I will explain all the 3. But we're going to, the exam, I think it's focusing more on for loop and the while loop. But there's another one called do while loop. That's the 3rd one. And then also, just like an if statement, remember we talked about nested if statements when you have an if statement inside another one. So for the loop, it's the same thing. Okay, when you have the loop inside another loop. So we're going to have an example about that. And if you have questions about the midterm, also we're going to now spare the last few minutes to answer any questions you may have. But anyway, there is a video that talks about the midterm. If you have no questions, so I'm going to try to kind of give you like a level of confidence. If you went through the midterm review and you did not have any problem, then you should have no problem with the midterm exam. I can guarantee it.
Okay, Professor, is my mic working?
I'm sorry?
Are you able to hear me? I'm just checking my mic.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah, I did have a question for the midterm. So
Yes.
I was looking at the review, and you'd mentioned that the test, the midterm, it's not going to have chapter 5, but when I saw the review, it had like for loops and while loops.
The midterm?
The review, so the review, when I was looking at it like last
the
week.
review has one. Okay, I will double check. I don't think I have, but even if there are 1 or 2, they're going to be very, very simple ones. I don't think I included them, but I will double check.
Okay, no worries.
I will double check, but thank you for bringing it to my attention, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, even if there are 1, it's going to be very simple ones, like basically just straightforward, that even if you don't even know what the loop is about, you should be able to answer. If there is 1, I'm not 100% sure. You may have them probably in the review, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but no, I don't think I included any questions in the midterm actual exam, but I will double check.
No problem. Thank you for
Uh,
checking.
but anyway, so there was people who already took the midterm exam and they got a perfect score and nobody complained about any of the questions. I'm not
Okay.
saying that you are wrong.
No,
Maybe
it's okay.
maybe they just got it. Yeah, maybe they just got it
No,
correct.
no
Okay.
worries. Are you able to are we able to ask how many questions the test has, or we just have to find out when we take it?
Okay, I always give this answer to my students whenever they ask me, how many questions do I have? Yeah, we have enough questions for everybody. No, that's not what we mean. We mean,
Right.
I didn't think I think it's a reasonable number of questions. I don't know, maybe 20 something or something. I don't
Oh,
think
that's
it's
not. Oh, that's not bad.
I think
It's not.
probably
Yeah.
between 20. I don't think no more than 30 questions.
Oh, it's not
If
bad.
if it went that far.
That's not
So
bad. Yeah.
basically, it's just a little bit of everything. Look, the midterm. Did you go over the midterm
I did.
review?
Yeah. I did the review. Yes, sir.
Did you have any questions about that? Did you see it
No,
in?
so the first time I took it, that's when I was getting, I got they got a couple questions wrong, but the ones I was getting wrong were like the chapter 5 stuff. So I know, and
Oh,
so I was getting it wrong because I hadn't gone over chapter 5. So
oh, okay,
I went over chapter 5 anyway. So I was like, whatever. So I feel
okay.
better about it now.
But other than that, did you have any questions about?
No, it was good. I felt like I did well, and then the only thing I was getting wrong was the what I hadn't covered in chapter 5.
Oh, okay.
But once I
Yeah,
went over that, it clarified it really.
yeah, but the midterm exam is going to be very, very similar questions. Yeah, I still have to double check about that, that chapter 5 thing. But other than that, I don't think you're going to be surprised. You're not going to see any questions where you're going to see, oh, where does that come from? No,
Right.
there is
Okay.
no way. It's like
Okay.
either you
Perfect.
know or you don't know. If you did your part, you should have no problem. Okay.
Yes, sir. Perfect. Thank
All
you.
right. So yeah, thank you for that. For that. Anybody has any questions before we move forward? Anyway, like the videos are, I'm just gonna go over this, but the videos are explained step by step what the loops is, so you should have no problem with that. So I'm just gonna switch to. Can you guys see my? Can you see Visual Studio?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, like the loop is just a way for the program to, because so far since we started chapter 1, chapter 2, 3, 4, all the statements, they happen only one time, okay? Either something will happen or something else, but there's no repetition. What about if I want to do something multiple times? So that's where this chapter comes in, okay? Using the for loop or the while loop. For example, I want to, so you start with for loop, for, and then you open the parentheses. It's like the if statement. And by the way, all the all the rules that apply to the if statement will apply to the for loop. What I mean by the rules, like for example, remember the if statement, you should not put semicolon after if statement like this. Don't do it either here, okay? Don't do it after the for loop. And also, about the braces. Remember, we talked about if statements. You should make sure that you have the braces. So if you have more than one statement, the program will make sure it is one block. Because if you don't put the braces, and then let's say, for example, you put line 1 and then line 2. In this case, the program will not include both of them as part of the loop, only the first one. And that's create a lot of problems for some people. They find, or the output will show something other than what they expected, and they start, oh, what is this? Why it's including only the first one? Why? Because you did not put the braces. So if there is more than one statement and you want them to be part of the loop, make sure you put the braces. That's my advice, regardless whether you have one or more. When you put the braces, the program will automatically, anything, it doesn't matter how many you have, it will be up. So for example, if I put, I want to, so we put a variable, let's say, we usually use I, but you don't have to. So I'm going to put X, okay? And then this variable will play the role of counter. That's going to count how many times. That means starting from 1, and then you put the semicolon here, and then you put less than, let's say, 6. And then how much you're going to be moving forward, by 1, by 2. No, most of the time we go by 1. So here what I'm telling the computer is whatever I'm going to put inside this brackets or braces, do it 6 times. When x equals 1, execute. When x equals 2, execute. When x equals 3, execute. When x equals 4, execute. When x equals 5, execute. Why? Because every value that we mentioned is less or equal. That's the condition. Which means once I get to 7, the program is going to say, well, 7 is not less or equal than 6. I should stop. Okay? So if I put, for example, here, okay, please print this, for example. So the program will print, please print this how many times? 6 times. So if I run the program, you're going to see it 6 times. Okay? So, and then it stopped when x equals 7. So that's why I can put here the x also. So I can put x to show you like the number keeps changing. Okay. So I'm going to put here. So you're going to see here that 1, please print this. 2, please print this. So once it becomes 7, because now x is 7, because it's 7 that we stopped. So the x, the final value of x is 7, but since it is not less or equal than 6, that's why the program stops. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so that's how it works. If I put, of course, 10 here, so it's going to do it 10 times. 1, 10, 10 times. See that? And I don't have to do it one by one. I can put +2. Now x will keep changing from 1 to what? To 3, because now I'm not adding 1, I'm adding 2. 1, execute. 3, why 3? Because 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 2, 5. 5, 7, 9, stop. Can you see that? So to show you that, you have to have 3 components. You have to tell the program 3 things. Tell the program where you start from. Because when you start counting, okay, most of the time as a human being, we start from 1. Okay, that's the common one. But what about if the program wants to start from another number? You can. So for example, I can start from 5. So in this case, I'm going to go 5, 7, 9. Only 3 times, right? Because you are increasing by 2. 5, 7, 9. Or you can go backward. Backward, that means I'm going to start from the highest number going down. So it means I'm going to start, let's say, from 10. But here you have to be careful, the second one. Now, since I'm going backward, I have to change the symbol to this. That means as long as the number is higher than 1, which is the lowest number I'm going to get to, so keep doing what you are doing. And then I'm going to put minus, minus. I'm going to decrement. This is called incrementation, decrementation. Okay, so it's going to say 10, 9, 8, 7. So once it gets to 0, it's going to stop, because 0 is not higher or equal than 1. So it will stop. So basically, this is the concept of the loop. Or I can skip. I'm going to put minus equal 0. That means keep doing what you are doing, but don't go down by 1. Skip 2. So it's going to be 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. See that? Now I can do something else. I don't have to have this one here, even though most of the time we have them together inside the parentheses, but I don't have to. I can put here x equals 10 here. So in this case, or I can declare the variable here. I don't have to declare it. You can do that. And I'm going to tell you what's the difference between declaring it inside and outside. Okay, so here it's going to be the same thing, right? So I'm going to get 10, 8, no difference. Okay, or I can even do that. I can start here, and I don't even have to have anything here because I already have the starting value. You can just leave it blank. I mean, you're not going to give any question like this. I'm just telling you that it is possible, but you're not going to get any questions in the exam about when there's something missing, because I don't want to confuse you. Which means I already know what the starting value is, which means I don't need the first part because it's already given to you, right? So I can go right here and then it works fine. Okay. Even the second one, if I have it here inside, I don't need, but most of the time we usually have it inside here, normally. Okay, I'm just saying that it is possible you may not have. Now, let me ask you this. If I start, okay, let me put it normally from a small number to a big number, let's say 5, okay? And then I'm gonna go one by one. Okay, so, okay, we said that's gonna have 1, print this, 2, print this, 5 times, there's nothing. Now, if I try to print X, what do you think is gonna happen? If I put here, cout, this is the final value of X. So what do you think I'm gonna get? Oh, I can tell that there is a problem. Look, there's underlined, so there is a red line here. That means there is a problem. Now my question, why there is a problem? Anybody can, did you notice anything that's happening? Because I tried to run the program, definitely you're gonna get some, yes, you're gonna have a problem. So why do we have the problem? Is there anything wrong that I did? I mean, X, it's already declared, we used it. I did not misspell anything. Did you see anything wrong about what I have? No, what is wrong is when I declared X, I declared it inside the loop. That means the program will recognize it only inside the loop. Okay? So if you use X outside these braces, the program will not recognize it. That's why if I change it and I declare it here outside, then the program will recognize it even outside the loop. So here you're not going to have a problem. See, it's not underlined anymore. So remember one thing, when you declare a variable, the one that you have inside the loop, if it is declared inside, you can use it only inside. And also this is true also for the if statement. When you declare a variable inside the block of the if statement, you cannot use it outside. But if you declare it outside, like in this case, then you can use it inside and outside. There is no problem. See, and it's going to say what? It's going to say number 6. Why does it say number 6? This is the final value of X is 6. Why? Because it changed the 6. That's the reason the program stops, because it got to 6, which is not less or equal than 5. So that's why the program exited the loop and then printed the value of X. Okay? Because if it was 5, then there is no reason for the loop to stop, because 5 is less or equal than 5. This condition is still true, so it should keep going. But because it got to the next value 6, the program is going to stop. Oh, okay, I can't move any further because this condition is false. So it's going to exit the loop and then move the cursor here. And then it's going to say, what is the value of X now? It's 6. Because that's how we stopped. Okay. But if you put X here, if you print X here, then you should have no problem. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I put this, okay. If I put this, you're gonna have the same value. 1, 2, 3, 4. I already have it here anyway, so I don't even need it here. So I'm just saying that inside only the values that meet this requirement here. Okay. So that's pretty much how the for loop works. Now let me give you another example. Let's say I want to I'm a teacher, instructor, professor, and then I want to keep track of my students. So I'm going to ask, okay, what is your grade? But I don't have one, I have more than one. So in this case, I'm going to have a variable grade. And then I'm going to keep asking all the students to tell me what grade they got. So in this case, I'm going to use the loop. Why? Because I'm not going to ask one person, I'm going to ask 5 or 6 people. So the same thing, I'm going to put 4. How many times I'm going to ask? I'm going to ask, let's say I have 5 people. So I'm going to start from 1 all the way to 5 and going by 1, incrementing by 1. So what is the thing that I'm going to do 5 times? So the loop means there's something I'm going to do 5 times. That means I'm going to ask. So I'm going to prompt the user, enter your grade. And this will be repeated how many times? 5 times. And then I'm going to save it using CIN, like what we normally do, but instead of do it only one time, because before we used to do it only one time, right? But here you're going to do it 5 times. Okay? So, and then you can print, leave my print here. Once you get the grade, then I'm going to print it here. Oh, your grade is full. Yeah, your grade is this. Okay. So if I run the program, it's going to start 1, enter your grade. So somebody will print something, and then it will be saved, and then I will print it. And then the second one, when I equals 2, when I equals 3, when I equals 4, when I equals 5. Once I goes to 6, it's going to stop. So let's run the program, and it's going to ask you, enter your grade. Okay, 85. So once I hit the enter, you're going to say, your grade is 85. And then again, enter your grade, 9, 70, 65. 100. How many times? 4, 1 more. Yeah. Now I can do whatever I want with it. What about I don't want to just put your grade. I want to add the total. Oh, I can do that. That means while I'm asking them for the grade, I'm going to keep adding. So I'm going to have a variable total, start from 0, and then instead of just printing the grade, what it doesn't do any good. So I will add it. So I'm going to use plus equal. That means keep adding, keep adding. So don't put total equal, because if you put total equal, you are just replacing the grade. The first time is 85, you change it to 90, you are changing. But I don't want to change, I want to keep adding. So if you want to keep adding, you have to use plus equal a grade. So every time you get the grade, it's going to add it. Starting from 0, that means it's empty. And then I keep adding every single grade. And then once I'm done, how do I know if I'm done? Because I'm outside the loop. That means I'm done 5 times. Now it's time to print the total. You can say the total of all grades is total. That's it. So this will keep adding. Okay, the first one was 0. I got the first one 85. Add it to 0. That's 85. 70. Add 85 to 70. Whatever the total is, add 95. Add 60. So keep adding. Okay, so when you see plus equal means keep adding, don't stop. So I have 85, see, 90. So now the total is increasing, but I don't see it because it's in the memory of the computer. It's not going to be displayed until I'm done. Okay, or I can put the total while I'm doing all of this. I can do that too. 99, 100, and then 60. See, the total of all grades is 434. You can tell that it's about right. Okay. Now, if I want to show the total while I'm doing the calculation, you just have to do it inside the loop. You can say something like the total at this point, the total at this point. That means I'm not done, but that's what I have at this point. So you're going to set this. So if you run the program, every time you get a grade, it's going to calculate the total and show it to you. And finally, when you are done, it's going to show the whole thing. 85. So before we had 0, so now the total is 85. Oh, I forgot to put the total. Okay, I put here at this point, but I have to put the variable that is holding the total. That's why it was empty here. So I'm going to run the program as it's going to start. Okay, enter your grade, 85. Okay, the total at this point is 85. Enter your grade, 90. Total is 175. See, it keeps increasing. Okay, 60, 100, 70. See, and the total is this. But this number does not mean anything. Okay, what am I supposed to know about 405? Is it a good thing? Is my class doing good? No, I can't until I find the average, because the average can tell me like where if it is, let's say 80 and above, okay, maybe they did very good. But if it is, in the 70s, 60s or something, oh, okay, I need to, do something about that. So in this case, I have to, but how supposed to calculate the average here? Because I don't know how many times. What do you think I should do? Do you have any suggestion? How am I supposed to know how many students I have? Well, here you can see 5 times, but what about if I change it? Is there any way I can find the number of students, basically the number of grades that I added to my total? Do you have any idea about that? Because I want to calculate the average. I want to put this. I want to put the average or the class grade average is. So what am I supposed to do here? I'm going to put total divided by what? Okay, if you put 5, that's if you know. Okay. So it's going to give you the average, but this is assuming you already have. What about if I don't have? I want the program to keep track of how many grades, even though I don't know how many grades you have. Okay. So enter your grade. Okay, 87, 90, 100, 50. Okay, 78. But because now, what about if I change this to 7? You think this average would be correct? No, because we have 7 and it still say 5. I want it to change automatically. So this will get you, of course, the wrong answer. 50, 90, 30, 20, 30, 90. Plus 7 is going to give you 86. Look, the grades are very low and it still say 86 because I divided this by 5. So there are different ways I can ask. First one, maybe I should ask how many students I have first. But I can do that. I can put sit outs and then ask, how many students, how many grades you will enter. So this way I have that in a variable. Okay, so I'm going to put here a variable num students. Okay, and then here I'm going to put CIN num students. So this way it doesn't really matter how many you have. And in this case, I'm not going to put 7. I'm going to put that variable now. So this way, whatever that number happens to be, it's going to be reflected in my code. Okay. So now I don't have to put 5. I'm going to put now. So that variable is keeping track how many grades I have. So now it doesn't really matter whether I have 3. So it's I have only 3 students. So the program will run only 3 times. Okay, not even one more or less. So enter your grade 80, 90, and 100. Still it's going to stop. The total is the class grade average is 9. Okay. Now what about if I have 5? So you can do that. So I'm going to put 5 this time. So it's going to ask you 5 times. So as you can see, the loop depends on that number, the value of num students. So 60, 40, 20, 30, and 20. Say 34. It's so bad here. Okay. What about if I have no idea? What about if I have no idea how many students I have? Let's say I have a bunch of students I don't know, which means as long as there is more students, it's just going to add. So in this case, for loop is not going to work. Now, this is where you're going to use the other one. Okay. So there is something called the while loop. So let's see here. So in this case, I'm not going to use this for loop. I'm going to use the while loop. I'm going to tell the program, okay, keep entering the grade. When you stop, for example, print 99, or no, 99 is as a possible. Let me put -1. If you put -1, that means that's a sign that's the end. So I'm going to put here while, okay, while I'm going to use a variable here, a grade is different than -1. So -1, that means it's a sign that you stop no more grade. So as long as the grade is not -1, keep asking. See out. Enter your grade. And then you're gonna put grade. And then here you can start with, okay, I'm just gonna start with 0 here, because the starting point. I don't have to, I don't think I have to, but well, maybe I have to, because here is gonna say it's different than -1, and they're gonna start. I'm gonna put here CIN that grade. So I put grade is just a starting point, just a default value. And then as long as the grade is different than -1, keep adding the grades, don't stop. That means if I want to stop, just put negative, okay? So this way, everything will stay the same. I'm gonna put the total as I have it. The total is this. So let's try it and see. So it's gonna ask me, okay, enter your grade. Okay, that's the first one, 90. Enter your grade. Do I know how many times? No. But for me to stop, just put -1, the program will stop. 80, 70. So this is a good way if you don't know how many, you have no idea. 60, 50, 100. So once I put -1, that means that's a way for me to stop. Done. See that? So that's another way. That's why I said while loop and for loop, most of the time they work pretty much the same way. But there's some difference, and this is one of the differences, which means when I don't know how many times I'm going to be running the program, while loop will get me the job done. Okay, I don't have to know how many students, but the for loop I have to specify that. Okay, but other than that, everything is the same. For example, here I can put whatever I put in the for loop, I can do it here. I can put int I equals 1. And I'm going to put as long as I is less or equal than 5, keep doing this. So it's the same thing as the for loop. So here I want to do it 5 times. Okay. As long as it is less or equal than 5. So here we're going to do it 5 times. Yeah, I forgot something. I didn't increment. Oh, that's a recipe for crashing the computer. Because look at I. Remember in the for loop we put I plus plus. I didn't put it here. I forgot. So I need to put that here. I plus plus. Because what happens if I don't? It's going to stay 1, and then it's going to be like an infinite loop. Because 1, okay, you got the grade, but that I never changed, which means it stays 1, 1, 1, 1. That's an infinite loop until you run out of memory and the program will crash. So I'm glad I remembered before I ran the program. So now it's going to do 5 times. Say, enter your grade 90, 80, 70, 50, 30, stop. So many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's very similar to the for loop, but there is a difference between them. Okay? There are sometimes, like for example, the for loop works only if we know how many times exactly. While loop, we don't have to know. You can just, I'll give you another example. Let's say you went to the ATM machine and then you want to access your account for whatever reason. Either you want to make a deposit or you want to withdraw money, but they will ask you for the PIN number, which is a 4 digits. So let's assume here that we know what the PIN number. Of course, the program knows, but nobody will see it because it will be hidden. When you run the program, you're not going to see it. So let's say the PIN number is 2534, for example. So that's your PIN number if you try to log in, okay? And then when you try to go to the loop, okay? So when you try to, it's gonna say, thank you, or welcome to Montgomery Bank. Okay, welcome to Montgomery. Here, okay, now I want to, is gonna ask you, of course, enter your PIN number. Enter your PIN number. Okay. Now we need another variable for the guess, like because you're gonna try to guess. Okay. You may be the right person, you may not, or maybe even if you are the real owner, what about if you forgot? It took you 2 times, 3 times. So I'm gonna put here guess. Okay. Enter your PIN number. So we're gonna use CIN. We're gonna try to guess. So you're gonna enter guess. Now here we have two. We have the PIN number, the real one, 2534, and your guess. Now here in this case, do we know how many times I'm gonna keep trying to figure out what the number is? We don't know. I may remember on the spot, and then I will be able to log in successfully the first time. Sometimes you just forget, you get confused with another. Oh, did I change it? Oh, maybe I changed it the last time. I don't know. So you may try. So here we cannot use the for loop. We're gonna use the while loop. So the best translation for the while loop is as long as. If you use as long as, that means as long as this condition is true, keep doing what you are doing. So as long as it is what? The program is going to keep telling you, sorry, you got the wrong, or sorry, the invalid entry. Please try again. So my question to you is, what is that condition because of which I'm going to get this message and it's going to ask me to try again, guess again. So what do you think you should put here? As long as what? Remember here we are comparing guess and the PIN number. So when they are equal or when they are different, that you should get this message. Sorry, invalid entry, try again. When they are equal, PIN equals to guess or different. What do you think?
Different.
Different, because if they are equal, why should say no invalid entry? It is valid entry. So how do you say different? So you put PIN. How do you say different? Do you guys remember? I know equal is this.
Exclamation point.
Exclamation, very good. So you put exclamation, different than guess. It doesn't really matter which one is first. You can put guess first. It doesn't really matter. So as long as they are different, you're gonna get this message. You may get it 1 time, 2 times, and then outside the loop. So if I'm outside the loop, that means I'm able to find the real number. That means I'm able to log in. So in this case, I'm gonna say, okay, you logged in successfully. You logged in successfully. Please enter one of the choices. For example, that's either I want to make a deposit. Okay, so let's try it and see. So I'm going to run the program. It's going to say, welcome to Montgomery Bank. Enter your PIN number. So you're going to enter something. Now I have, you're not going to see this number. This is hidden because when I run the program, that's all what you see is this. Can you see PIN number? No. Okay, so maybe to explain, maybe you can put here, you can see, oh, that's only if you want your 4 digits number, just to help them remember, because they may think it's password or something. 4 digits. So it's gonna put here, okay. I'm gonna try, okay. Let me see here, I'm gonna put and line. Okay, so this is just to help them. So it's going to say, welcome to Montgomery Bank. Enter, let me separate the 2 lines. So I'm going to put here and line. So I'm going to run the program here. See, welcome to Montgomery Bank. Enter your PIN number. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, try again. 2, 3, 4, 5. No. 6, 3, 2, 5. No. So what's the real one? 2, 5. I forgot. 34. Hey, you logged in successfully. Please change. And by the way, this is not my real PIN number. Okay, don't even try. So, any questions about this? Does this make sense? So what's the difference between the while loop and the for loop? Okay, while loop, that means there is a condition. As long as this condition is true, you can keep doing what's doing. We don't know how many times, 5 times, 10 times. But the for loop, it is always, it is a specific number of times, like 10 times, 50 times, 20 times. So that's basically the difference between the two. Okay. So let's give another example. Let's say I want to know how many numbers. Okay, I want the number, the user to enter two numbers, starting number, ending number, and I want to print all the multiple of 5, for example, multiple of 5. So I have two numbers, starting, so I'm going to call it starting, and then end. Okay, so the user will enter these two numbers. Okay, please enter the starting number. So you are going to save it, CIN start. And then the same thing for assuming that the starting is less than the ending. So we don't have to check it. Please enter the ending number. So CIN. Okay. So I want to see how many numbers that are multiples of 5 between these two. So I'm thinking I'm going to put 4. Starting from, not from 0, not from 1, from this number, whatever it is, because they're going to enter the starting number. So I'm going to put starting, whatever that number is. And then you're going to keep going all the way till ending. Again, I'm assuming that this number is less, because if you put this one bigger, it's not going to even start, because you usually start from the lowest number to the highest number. And then I'm going to go one by one. And I'm going to check if the number I is divisible. So we're going to use the percentage. If it is divisible, that means if the remainder, remember the modulus, the percentage sign? So when you divide by 5 and the remainder is 0, then this is a multiple. I'm going to say here that I, what's have to put it out, and I'm going to put I is a multiple of 5, for example. Okay. It's going to keep going all the way. So if I try to run the program, so let's say I'm going to start from 1 all the way to 4. So I'm going to say, okay, 5 is a multiple of 5, 10 is a multiple of 5, 15, 20, see that? So as long as I did not get to, I didn't go beyond 40, so it's going to print the number if it meets the condition. What's the condition is this, if statement. So here, as you can see, we have an if statement. Most of the time, I have if statements inside the loop to check, because I don't want to print all of them. I want to print only some of them. Or maybe let's do this. Let's say I want to start from a number, and yeah, let's say let's say I don't want to do this. I want to calculate the total of all the numbers between. So I can put a total. And total equals 0. And I want to add up all the values between these two numbers, starting and ending. So you can put total plus equal I. Okay. So it's going to add all of this. So C out is going to say the total of all numbers between starting and ending. Whatever the ending might be, whatever the starting is this. Okay. So for example, if I put the starting number is number 2, and the ending number is 7. So it's going to add 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7. So the total is 27. Now, what about if I want to average? How do I know what how many numbers between starting and ending? How do I know? Because I want the average. I don't know what the first number is, the ending, but is there any formula or I can use the average is, how do I know? Like for example, let's use that example that we use, 2 and 7. So we have 2 and 7. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's 5. So what is the relationship between 5 and 2, 7? So if I put 7 minus 2, that's going to give me what? I'm sorry, from 2 to 7, what comes up? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 5. So if I put 2 and 7, so 7 minus 2 is 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I'm sorry, 6, not 5. 6, which means 7 minus 2 is 5. You have to add 1. So the average will be whatever the ending is, and then you subtract starting, and then you add 1. Okay, so that's going to be the total divided by this. Now let's try it, and let's say, for example, we're trying to add the numbers from 4, of course, assuming they are like, so from the first one is smaller. So from 4 to 9, how many numbers do we have from 4 to 9? So you put 9 minus 4, which is 5 plus 1, 6 numbers. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, see, so the average is 6, because if you add them up, you get 39. 39 divided by 6 is 6. Of course, it's 6 point something, but I just need to put maybe a double here. If I want to keep the decimal, you have to cast it. So here's going to give you exactly what the number is. 4, 9, 6 point something, 0.5. Okay? So this is the different ways you can use the loop. Now, I'm going to add one more example. Let's say, for example, I want to know if a number is prime or not. How do I know if a number is prime or not? What is the number? What is the definition of prime? So let's say I'm going to ask the user enter. Okay. So I have a number. I'm going to get a number from the user. I don't know what that number is. So I'm going to say var. Okay. And I'm going to answer enter a number. I don't know what that number might be. Okay.
It's
So
not. They don't have any multiples, is it? Or I forgot right there.
A number is prime if it's divisible only by 1 and
In itself? Okay.
Yeah, that's the definition. Okay. So using the loop, how do I do that? Which means I need to go from 1 to the number itself. It should be only 2 numbers that are divisible. So I'm going to use that percentage, the remainder symbol. So I'm going to go from here. 4, starting from the number, which is from 1, all the way to the number itself, which is value. Now, I should not have more than 2 numbers that are divisible, which is 1 and the number itself. Or maybe I need to have a variable to keep track of how many. I'm going to put count equals 0. And then I'm going to check, is the number divisible? So I'm going to say here, if the number value is divisible, that's what I'm going to put the percentage sign. If it's divisible by, that means the remainder is 0, I want you to count it. Count. So let's use an example of, let's say, for example, number 7. So for number 7, example, number 7. So I'm gonna go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the program is gonna start with this. Okay, is 7 divided by 1? Is it divisible? Yes, because when you divide 7 by 1, there is no remainder. So it's going to put count plus plus, that means count now is 1. 7, is it divided by 2? No, the remainder is not 0. Now don't count. Now 7 divided by 3? No. 7 by 4? No. By 5? No. By 6? No. By 7? Yes. So you're going to add another 1, so you're going to have 2. So if the number happens to be 2, that means only 2 numbers, which is 1 and the number itself, then I know it is definitely a prime number. I'm going to say it is a prime number. A prime number. So I can put the number here. Value is a prime number. So let me try it and see. Okay, enter a number 7. See, 7 is a prime number. Why? Because I found only 2 numbers, which is 1 and the number itself. Now let me choose another number, maybe 8. 8, so it's going to say, no, it's not. It is a prime number. Okay, because I didn't put, what about if it's else? So here it puts, if this count should not be here. It should be after I finish. So it should be when outside the loop, because you cannot print if it's prime number and you will still working. Okay, it should be outside. That means when you are done. Okay, so now it should be working. So if I put 7, oh, 7 is a prime number. Okay, that makes sense. Now what about if I choose number 8? Okay, 8. Oh, I didn't put what? Because I didn't put else, because I put only if count equals 2. What about if count is not 2? So I will put else. And then he is going to say it's not. That means if count is 3, 4, or 0, whatever that number, as long as it's not 2, okay, is not a prime. So because you have only one of two choices, either a prime number or it's not. So if it puts 8, see, it's not a prime number. But let me get another number. Maybe it's one accident. Okay, let me put number 13. 13 is a prime number. C is a prime. Why? Because I divided 13 by 1. It's divisible. Okay, count is 1. 13 by 2, no. 3, no. 4, no. So you're going to keep going all the way to 13. Then you say yes. So we have only 2 numbers, the number itself and the 1. Okay, so that's where you can use the loop, see, with the if statements. Okay, now we're going to spend the rest of the time. What about if we have nested loop? So let me show you how the nested loop works. So that's when you have one inside another one. So for example, I can have this x going from 1, okay, and then all the way to 4, x plus this. And then inside, I'm going to put another loop. Let's say y. Y equals, for example, it's going to go from 2 to 5. Let me put from 1 to 5, and then here from 2 to 4. Okay, let's see how it works. So when you have a nested loop like this, then when x equals 1, the program is going to wait until the nested loop, the inner loop, comes to an end before it's going to go to x equals 2, because it's inside. Okay, so for example, here I'm going to put, say outlook, I'm going to put the value of x, and then I'm going to put space here, and then I'm going to put y to show you how to, and then of course we don't want to start like. So that means x would be 1, and then y would be 2, 3, and 4. Then x will change. So let me show you here. If I run the program, you're going to see 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 1, 4. That means the inner loop has to come to an end, to conclusion, before the outer loop, the main one, comes or increase in value. Okay, because that's how it works. Okay, so you have to do this before x to the next one. Okay, now I can do the same thing. Let's say I want to put the total here. Okay, so for example, if I put total, so I'm going to put a variable total equals 0. Okay, so I want to add only the y. So I'm going to put total plus equal y. So the program will add 2, 3, 4, okay, and then print. And then I want the program, after it adds 2, 3, and 4, to go back to 0, and then print it again. Okay, so let me print it here. So let me put CX, the total of all y's is. So the best way to learn this, because at the beginning when I explain it, it may be a little bit confusing, but you have to try it. Yeah? You have to try 1 time, 2 times until it becomes. And also we're going to use a real example. Why? How can we use this like in a real situation? Okay. So if I run the program here, look, it's going to say 2 plus 3 plus 4. Oh, I forgot to put the variable. Total. But here I did not change the total. So once you calculate 2 plus 3 plus 4, change it back to 0 so you can start over. So here I'm going to say, okay, 2 plus 3 plus 4. So I put total equals 0. And then I put, let me see here, total plus equal 1. Oh, supposed to, so can you see, did you see the mistake? I put total equals 0 before I print. Supposed to put that one first. That means print, then change it back to 0, not the other way around. So here you're going to see 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is 9. And then it's going to start over. 2 plus 3 plus 4. 2 plus 3 plus. Now, what happened if I did not add the y, I added x? So in this case, I'm going to add 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3. And then the next time is going to be 2. 2 plus 2 plus 2. Then 3 plus 3 plus 3. Now, to make sense for you, okay, let me make it even more simple. I'm not going to use the number this time. Let's say start with the normal loop. Let's say I want to just print like a bunch of stars. So let's say I want to print from 1, let me use x, from 1 all the way to 10. Okay, x plus plus. I just want to print. I think this one will make more sense. If I want just to print the pound, so the hashtag, okay? So if I print, how many times will be printed? 10 times, right? So if I run the program, and you see 10. Now what happened if I want to print this 10 pound keys or hashtag? I want to print them 5 times, like 10, 10, 10, 5 times. All what I need to do is just put another loop. So what I'm going to do, this one will print it 10 times. So I'm going to cut it, or just cut. Now I need another loop that says 5 times. That means this 10 repeated 5 times. So I'm going to use, of course, a different variable. Let's say I equals 1, 2, 2, I plus plus. So if I put this, look, that means this 10 pound keys do it 5 times. So if I run 10, 10, 10, 10. Now, what about if I don't want them in one line? Every time I print 10, start new line. So here I'm going to put between them end line. That means when you finish the first 10, before you move on to the second line, make sure you start new line. So now we're going to have 10, 10, 10, 10. I think this will make more sense than what we talked about earlier. See that? Now, you can tell here that the first one basically kept track of the number of rows, and this is the number of columns. So this one 5, that means 5 rows, okay? 1, can you see like how many rows? It's like a table, exactly like a table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And look at the columns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's say, for example, I want 6 rows. I just have to change this. I want 15. So just put 15. That is going to be 6 rows, 15, just like a table, exactly like a table. So I'm sure like you covered the matrix. It's very, very similar to the matrix and table, like either in math or maybe in the computer application. If you learn Excel, that's very similar. Okay, we have rows and we have columns. Okay, I do the same thing. Now, what about if I don't want? Okay, let's say I want only from 1 to 3, or let's say 4, and then I want the x to be all the way to 3. Now, what happens if I want to print the total? The total, or just print it. If I print the I, look, if I print I, so it's going to say 1, because I does not change until the inner loop comes to an end. So if you run the program, you're going to see 1, 1, 1, 3 times. Okay. Then once this one is done, then it's going to go to I equals 2. That's why when I put I and then I put next to it, Y, you're going to see that the Y changes, but the I stays the same. So if I put X in here, so you're going to see here that it's going to say 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. You see that? Okay. Make sure. Okay. So I and then X. So I put from 1, 1. Okay. So here I have. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1. Now, what about if I put the total as I mentioned here? So if I put total here, so if I put total plus equal I. So I'm going to add 1, 1. So basically, as I said, it's just like a table. Let me see if I can put it right here. I was hoping that 350 is a table here. I'm sorry, that's it. Oh, it's more. Let's see. Okay, new one. And then open for all. Stop the current screen share. No. Okay. Now let me share. Right, we will close as soon as you start sharing. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a paint. Okay. And can you see this page? Paint? Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So let me explain here how it works here. So if I use, then I'm going to try the drawing part with it. Draw. Let me just use pencil. So when you have like, okay, it's better. The best way is to use this table right here. So what do we have here? Let me go back to this one right here. Okay. So let me put here, put from. So let's say we have 4, and I'm going to use X from 1. X is less or equal than 5, and then X plus plus. I think if you use the table, especially the first time, it will make more sense to you than And then afterwards you get used to it, then you don't need to use. And then I'm going to put 1, y is less, so we call that 3, y plus plus. Okay, so now I want to print. Stay out. I'm going to print x. And then y. And then y. Okay, so if I use this, the first one is x, okay, x. And this one is y, okay. The first number is 1. And it's going to stay 1 until y comes to an end. So y goes from 1 to 3. It's going to be like this. 2, 3. But remember, x is not going to change, always this. So when I print 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. So this one, excuse me, comes to an end. Now it's time to start over from 2. And then again, 2 will stay the same thing. 1, 2, 3. So if I put this, it's going to be 2, 2, and then keep going. And then until you get to 3. And then start over. 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to continue all the way to 5. Now, if I go back, and then you're going to see here, see, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. Now I'm done with 1. Go to 2. Start over. Okay. So this is how the nested loop works. Now, what about if I don't have to print them? I'm printing them. So it's going to be like, let's say, so we have the total here. Total equals 0. So if I added total plus equal y, if I added the y, and then I printed it. So what am I going to get? So let's go back to our example. So can you see here, 1 plus 1, so this is the total right here. I can add another column for total. So let's assume this is here. So what I'm adding, so I'm adding only the y, so I'm not going to worry about the first column. So I started with 0, total was 0 initially. So when I added 1, it becomes 1. And then I added 2, it becomes 3. I added 3, it becomes 6. Okay. Now, if I want to continue again, so that's going to be 7. And then 9. And then 9, 10, and 12. And then you keep going. Okay. So the same thing right here. So every time I print, you can just put C out total. Let me just put space. So this way. So if I run the program, I'm going to get that number 1, 3. That's exactly the numbers we talked about. 1, 3, 6, 7, 9, 12. Now, what about if I change it and I'm not adding y, I'm adding x? Okay, so you're going to get the same thing, but this time we're adding the x. So it's going to be what? Go back to this. So now, delete this. So if I'm adding the x, now I'm going to have to worry about this point. So I'm going to put, it started with 0, I added 1, that's 1. I added another 1, that's 2. Another 1, 3. 2, 5. 2, 7, and 9, so okay. So that's exactly what we have here. See? So you run the program, we're going to get the same thing. See, 1, 2, 3, they added 2, plus 2, plus 2, 1, plus 2. So the most important thing you need to remember is when you have a nested loop, the outer loop, this is called the outer loop because it's outside, outer loop. And the one inside is called inner loop because it's inside. What you need to understand is this. The outer loop will not change until the inner loop comes to an end. This is the most important thing, which means if I start with x equals 1, I'm not going to move to x equals 2 until I'm done with y equals 1, y equals 2, y equals 3. Then it's time to move on to it. It's like I have a classroom. Let me show you here. Say I have a classroom. Let's say we have a classroom. I think probably explain will explain this. So let's say here we have a classroom, okay? And then I have rows, and I want to check, let's say, their projects. So I have students here, okay? So this is, let's say, I have 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I have, let's say, 4 columns or more than that. That's it. So let's say this is the row number 1. This is row number 1. And this is row number 2, row number 3, and so on. What if you start from 0, says 0, 1, depending how you start. 4, and then 5. So let's say there is a student here. I'm not going to go to row number 2 until I am done with this student, check his project, this student, check her project, and so on. So I'm going to check here. So that's the column, let's say C. C is 1, the column 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm not going to check or go to row number 2 until I am done with this row. Then you go to this. So that's exactly the same thing right here. So if I put R and C, it's going to be the same thing. Or let's say R equals 1, and then R less than how many? 5, right? And then R plus plus. So you are not going to go to the next row until you visit every single column, okay? C equals 1, C equals 4, and then C plus. So I think if you can make that analogy with the classroom, it will make more sense. And then I put this, okay? So it's going to be row, and then space, and then you put the column number. Okay. So the row number 1 is going to stay 1, and then look, 1, student number 1, 2, 3 in the same row. Okay, so here I have 4 or 5. Once I'm done, now it's time to move to the row number 2, and then check every single student. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 students for every row. And then you move to the row number 3. Okay, check everything. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you go. I think this will hopefully make more sense to you. So that's basically, I don't think I have probably, okay, I don't have any programming assignments for nested loop. So for the questions, I'm not even sure if I have a nested loop, probably. If I have maybe 1 or something. So that's something that's it. But at least, try to understand the concept about the for loop. All right, so let me go back and then explain any programming assignments we have here. So this is chapter 5. So video quiz 5, just like we have 5 questions. And then this is the loop. Always, make sure you take time to watch these loops, these videos. And then look at the program here. Very simple here, because this is only one loop. Write a program that generates a random number. We talked about how to generate a random number, right? Between 0 and 100. The program prompts the user to guess, to enter a number continuously until the number matches. So let's say the program is going to say, okay, I'm thinking of a number between 0 and 100. Can you guess what it is? So the user will try. And then the program will help you. So if the number is too high, it's going to say, oh, it's too high. That means you need to go down. Or if the number is too low, you're going to say, oh, it's too low. You need to go up until you find it. It may take you 2 times, 3 times. Back to the example right here. Guess what the magic number is. So the real number is 39. But because you said 50, the program is going to say, it's going to compare them. And it's going to say, oh, your guess is too high. That means the next time you're going to guess, you are going to go below 50. So he said 25. but the number is 39. It's going to throw us too low. So you start 42 until you got the right number. Okay, so that's basically what the program is asking. Very, very simple. Okay, so you need to have one variable for the a random number that the computer will come up with using the the random formula or the random code. Okay, and then you are going to have another variable, you can call it guess, that you're using CIN. And then you're going to put them here. You can tell that we don't know how many times, so we're going to use the while loop, just like what we did with the ATM, very similar. So as long as they are different, you're going to keep comparing. If it's too big, you're going to say it's too high, and then give them a chance to try, just like the one we did earlier with ATM. Very, very similar. Okay, so there are three situations. Either it's higher, it's lower, or it's the right number. If it's the right number, you're going to stop. And the program will stop automatically because you said, while it is different, keep doing. That means if it's not different, it's going to stop automatically. So just look at the ATM one. It's very, very similar. And number two talks about the perfect number. A perfect number is a number that is a number in which the total of all the factors or the divisors are equal to the original number. Like, for example, number 6, the factors is 1, 2, 3. If you add them up, that's the original number 6. So we call it perfect number. Number 8 is not. Why? Because if you add all the factors of 8, 1, 2, and 4, you're not going to get 8. So that's not perfect number. So you're going to use the loop. So you're going to put, okay, prompt the user to enter a number. And then what you're going to do, you're going to go from 1 all the way to the number, but don't include the number. Don't put less or equal than value. Just put less than. Because here, can you see, like, I didn't include number 6 in my calculation. So don't just put less in the loop. And then you have a variable called total that you keep adding. We learn how to keep adding total plus equal. And then at the end, you're going to see if the total is equal to the value, the variable that we are using, then you're going to say it is a perfect number. If it's not, then you're going to say it's not a perfect number. All right. So as you can see here, that's the midterm review. As I said, go over it at least one time. And this is the key. And also we have the video that goes over the questions in there. Okay. So as I said, if you happen to have questions about the loop 1 or 2, it's going to be very simple, straightforward if it happens to be there. Okay. So just make sure that you go over the midterm review. Okay. Any questions about this? So as I said, if you have no problem with the midterm review, you should have no problem with the midterm. I can guarantee that. It's almost the same type of questions, so you should have no problem whatsoever. Now, keep in mind, remember, we have only how many more days? Today is the 26th, so we have this coming week, and then we have probably 3 more days. We don't have the whole week, the next one, the one after. So that's why I said I'm going to meet with you on Tuesday to cover chapter 6, and then we're going to meet on Thursday as usual, and we're going to cover chapter 7. And then depending on you, I will make myself available so we can meet another time for review in case you have questions or a general review about the final exam. Okay? Any questions?
Thank you
Any
so
comment?
much. Thank you.
Any comments? Any thoughts? Okay.
No questions for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And then I'm going to send an email about this. So just to let everybody know. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, like always, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.